Hey, before this video begins, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Jasmine, the Manticore. She's the one I commissioned for these awesome new poses, and I think she did a great job with these. So please, go show her some support, whether it be on her Twitter, or DeviantArt, or whatever. Anyways, on to the video. Hello everyone, and welcome back to yet another level review. A while back, I made a poll where I asked what level you want to see me cover next, and Future Funk 2 won by a large margin. So today, that's exactly what we're going to be covering. Now, Future Funk 2 is in an interesting spot. It's the official sequel to what I'd consider to be one of the greatest levels of all time, and it was a well-liked level when it released. However, I personally don't have a very high opinion on this level, as I've made crystal clear many times in the past, and I'm hoping to be able to explain why that is throughout this video. So without further ado, let's get right into it, I guess. The gameplay is one of my biggest gripes of Future Funk 2. I've said this many times before, but I hold the gameplay over everything else when it comes to level's quality, because the gameplay is what you're actually playing, not the decoration, not the song, not the originality. You play the gameplay. And Future Funk 2, I feel, comes up really short in terms of the gameplay. It's not because it's a long level. I actually enjoy quite a few long levels, especially the original Future Funk, as evidenced by the fact I once beat it 100 times. I really enjoy Future Funk, and still do. Future Funk 2, on the other hand, is the exact opposite for me. I absolutely hated my time with Future Funk 2. I found it to be so incredibly frustrating, and I think that's simply because it's not only unbalanced, but it's also just boring to play. 70% onwards is harder than the rest of the level, so most of the time you get near the end of the level only to die within the last 30%. What? The two ship parts at the end, this wave section, and of course 99 are all way harder than they need to be, and it really drags down the whole level. Outside of that, there are a few sections that felt awkward to me while I was playing the level. The part where you'd hit your head on the ceiling using the red orbs is a clear one for me, as I had to spam my spacebar in order to do it. Using my mouse didn't get the speed I needed, which is odd because it felt like it should have. It didn't feel like I was clicking too slow when I die there with the mouse. I just die. The double jump part isn't actually as bad as you may think. It's not actually that buggy. It's only bugged out for me like once or twice, and that's very rare considering how long I've had to play Future Funk 2 for. There are, however, a few awkward jumps in the double jump part, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not too bad. You get consistent at it. One last part for me is the weird, multiple layers part. It's not bad in terms of technically its gameplay, it just doesn't feel like it fits in with the rest of the level. Everything else is normal, then you have this weird, semi 2.2 part there, followed up by the double jump part, and those two parts just don't feel like they belong, because, they don't fit in, you know? However, I'd let the double jump part slide more, but just the multiple layers thing just really doesn't fit in my opinion. It feels like Jonathan, instead of focusing on the gameplay, decided to focus more on the visuals, which is just not the way to go in my opinion. You can have visual-based levels, but especially for stuff like, Insane Demons, you need to focus on the gameplay as that's what you're playing, and if you want it to be a good level, it has to be enjoyable to play, which Future Funk 2 is not. But yeah, needless to say, I think the gameplay is really boring, and also really annoying to play, especially near the end of the level. Like I mentioned before, it feels like Jonathan GD focuses more on the decoration than the gameplay. However, I don't even think the decoration is that good. It's not garbage by any means. I'd just argue that Jonathan's older work looks better. Most of Future Funk 2 has this, overly detailed look to it. I don't know how to explain it. The best I can explain is, it kind of looks, grainy in a way? I don't know. It's definitely more of a personal preference thing, but I do prefer the look of the original Future Funk over this. Now, that's not to say that Future Funk 2 doesn't have some good-looking parts. For instance, I think the little brake parts look really cool, and this robot also looks really nice in the background Jonathan made. However, I feel like a lot of this level just isn't as good as people say it is. Parts like this ball, the weird layers part, hell, even this mini cube part, which is supposed to be a reference to the original Future Funk, I'd argue is somehow worse, because they removed the nice freeform aspect that made the original part look so cool. I don't know, I guess I'd just consider the decoration to be a mixed bag for me. There's a few really cool parts in here, but there's also a lot of parts here too. In all honesty, while I did used to hate the song used in this level, I'll be honest, it's grown on me a tad since I first heard it. It's not as bad as I thought it was, but at the same time I don't think it's a great song either. There are songs I like more than this, most notably What's Up Future Funk, the song used in Future Funk 1. That song is iconic, and is genuinely a really great song. To me, the song used in the sequel just doesn't live up to the song used in the first level, which is a shame because both songs are made by the same artist, that being Lemkuja. Something I've realized is that while the song in Future Funk 1 feels really energetic and all over the place, in a good way, the song in Future Funk 2 just feels very samey and not as energetic, if that makes any sense. It just doesn't have the same energy as the song used in the original level does, which is a shame, because like I said, they're both made by the same artist. But yeah, essentially what I'm saying is that the song is just overall for me. It's not a bad song by any means, it's just not as good as the song used in the first level. A lot of the time, originality is extremely important when it comes to the quality of a level. However, I would argue that Future Funk is an exception. The first Future Funk was, quote, a remake of Clutterfunk and High Life mixed into one awesomeness, whatever that means. And it shows! There were parts that looked like updated versions of parts from Clutterfunk and High Life, and they worked shockingly well together. Here are some examples for what I mean. Now, why am I bringing this up? Well, the answer is quite simple. Future Funk 2 has literally no references to Clutterfunk nor High Life. The reason that's a problem is because those levels are a part of the core identity of Future Funk 1, and they just aren't present anywhere in the sequel. And it's because of that I feel like Future Funk 2 doesn't really have much of an identity. There's no real link between the parts, if that makes any sense. Future Funk had a link, that being the Clutterfunk and High Life remake aspect. Future Funk 2 is clearly unique, don't get me wrong, it just doesn't feel like a sequel to Future Funk, which I guess is one of the main problems I have with this level. It is original, yes, but is it a good Future Funk sequel? No. It's hard to come up with a conclusion for this level, mainly due to the fact that despite the fact I tried my best to stay unbiased, I'm still truly biased. But having a hard time with a level doesn't make that level bad. What makes it harder is the fact that this is the sequel to Future Funk. Like I said earlier, I consider Future Funk to be one of the greatest levels of all time, and that creates much higher expectations for Future Funk 2 than there would have been otherwise. Despite that, I think overall, excluding all that, this level still isn't very great. It's not a terrible level, but it's not good either. However, adding in the fact it's the official sequel to Future Funk just makes it so much worse in my opinion, as it doesn't live up to the quality of the original. Overall, I consider Future Funk 2 to be a pretty bad level. Visuals don't make a level good, and there are other factors that play a part in making a level good, and unfortunately, Future Funk 2 fails in terms of those other factors. if I include my personal experience and my personal bias in terms of Future Funk and Future Funk 2, then in my opinion, Future Funk 2 is literally the single worst level I have ever played in my entire life. The fact that it's so boring, so long, so annoying, so unbalanced, the fact the song is worse, the fact it feels like it spits in the face of everything Future Funk was, and doesn't even include any of the factors that made Future Funk 1 so unique, or include anything that made Future Funk what it was, meaning not having Glitter Funk or High Life in it, just makes it so much worse. If it wasn't the sequel to Future Funk, I would not think it's as bad as it is, but the fact it's claiming to be the sequel to Future Funk, a level I would consider to be literally the greatest level ever made, just makes it so much worse, because it is not worthy of being the sequel. It is a terrible level. It is horrible. It is not good. It fucking sucks. But yeah, that was my love review of Future Funk 2. I know that a lot of you have been looking forward to this video, so I hope you ended up enjoying it, despite all of the rants I did. I'm not gonna lie, I had a script for this video, but I went off script so many times here, it's insane. I have a few other levels I'm wanting to review in the future, such as Diligence, Hypersonic, even the original Future Funk, so be on the lookout for that. But anyways, leave a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye!